us on Bright TV UK reporting from the UK. I'm YENULI BINARA. This week's headlines. Diplomatic tightrope for Modi as he visits Kyiv after Moscow. Astronauts stranded in space for 8 days and could be stuck until 2025. 400-year-old record heat threat to Great Barrier Reef. GCSE results gap widens between South and the rest of England. First drug to slow Alzheimer's too costly for NHS. World's second largest diamond found in Botswana. Start of Sri Lanka tour of England 2024. Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi is in Ukraine to hold talks with President Volodymyr Zelensky. The trip comes just weeks after he met Russian President Vladimir Putin in Moscow. The visit is significant because Kyiv and some Western capitals have reacted sharply to Mr. Modi's visit to the Russian capital in July. Mr. Zelensky was particularly critical, saying he was disappointed to see the leader of the world's largest democracy hug the world's most bloody criminal in Moscow. So, is Mr. Modi visiting Kyiv to placate Mr. Zelensky and other Western leaders? Not entirely, as it's not surprising to see India balance its relations between two competing nations or blocs. The country's famed non-alignment approach to geopolitics has served it well for decades. When NASA astronauts Sunita Williams and Butch Wilmore set off to the International Space Station in June, expected to be back 8 days later. However, the astronauts are now stranded on the ISS due to Boeing's faulty Starliner, and they might not be back on Earth until February 2025. Our prime option is to return Butch and Suni on Starliner, Steve Stitch, manager of NASA's Commercial Crew Program, said. However, we have done the requisite planning to make sure we have other options open. One potential option being considered that flight to the space station will be made by a SpaceX Crew Dragon craft. The initial plan was for 4 crew members to be abroad, but 2 of the seats could be left empty if needed. That plan would mean that the astronauts would spend more than 8 months, rather than 8 days, aboard the International Space Station. A study of samples taken from inside the bodies of centuries-old coral has revealed the threat climate change now poses to the Great Barrier Reef. Researchers in Australia say temperatures in and around the vast coral reef over the past decade are the highest recorded in 400 years. Extreme heat has already caused 5 mass bleaching events in the past 9 years alone. Writing in the journal Nature, the scientists behind the study say increased temperatures driven by climate change now pose an existential threat to this natural wonder of the world. 5 of the 6 warmest years in the 407-year record have occurred since 2016, and these years have also seen major coral bleaching events. In 2022, more than 90% of the reef's coral was bleached, which was the 4th mass bleaching event in 7 years. Hundreds of thousands of students in England, Wales and Northern Ireland have picked up GCSE, BTEC Tech Awards and other Level 2 results. The pass rate across England, Wales and Northern Ireland has fallen for a 3rd year running, returning to levels last seen in 2019, which was the last year exams were sat before COVID. The proportion of grades at 4 and above is 67.4% in England, 61.7% in Wales and 82% in Northern Ireland. In England, there's a big regional divide. 4 out of 5 regions in the North and the Midlands have a lower pass rate this year than they did in 2019, while every region in the South has a higher pass rate. Students in Scotland had their results earlier in the month, when pass rates dropped back to pre-COVID levels or below. The first drug to slow the progression of early-stage Alzheimer's will not be available on the NHS in England because health assessment body NICE says the benefits are too small to justify the costs. Lecanemab has been licensed for use in Great Britain by the medicines regulator, the MHRA, which means it can be prescribed privately. In trials, external the drug was shown to slow cognitive decline by about a quarter in patients in the early stages of Alzheimer's over the course of 18 months. But in draft guidance, external NICE said there was a significant cost to the treatment, including intensive monitoring for side effects and fortnightly trips to hospital for patients. Alzheimer's Research UK said it was a bittersweet moment. The second largest diamond ever found, a rough 2,492-carat stone, has been unearthed in Botswana at a mine owned by Canadian firm Lucara Diamond. It is the biggest find since the 3,106-carat Cullinan diamond found in South Africa in 1905 and cut into 9 separate stones, many of which are in the British Crown Jewels. The diamond was found at Korove Mine, about 500 kilometers north of Botswana's capital Gaborone. Botswana's government said it was the largest diamond ever discovered in the southern African state. The previous biggest discovery in Botswana was a 1,758-carat stone found at the same mine in 2019. The 2024 England vs Sri Lanka Test Series is a crucial part of the ICC World Test Championship cycle, featuring 3 matches. The series kicked off on August 21 at Old Trafford, Manchester. England, ranked 3rd in the ICC Test rankings, is led by Ollie Pope due to Bainstoke's injury. For Sri Lanka, a first Test tour to England since 2016 represents a big opportunity, one the squad will undoubtedly approach with a mix of optimism. On the plus side, they have a perfect record since Dhananjaya De Silva assumed the captaincy, albeit 3 tests against Afghanistan and Bangladesh. And Sanath Jayasuriya's tenure as interim coach got off to an astonishing start with the shock one-day international series victory over India. With the hope for a joyful week, we hope to see you again with Bright TV UK. Stay informed, stay bright.